So, hi, we have Maya with us today, who is residing in Portugal. She tells us it's already spring or summer has come to Portugal. And ahead of this weekend, she's got a big weekend coming. We thought we'd just grab this moment to kind of help her explain about what the weekend is and see whether people want to either fly to Portugal or just drive if you're local, but come and join you for the weekend. So it's an exciting time.
Yes, it's near Aljezur for those who can drive or close enough.
So, which is on the west coast, isn't it? So it's kind of
Yeah,
an hour and a half from Faro, over to the windy wildness. I think I always feel like it's where all the elements seem to come together.
absolutely. It's a wild coast.
So thanks
Yeah.
for joining us. Tell us a little bit about what you've got planned for the weekend.
Yeah, so I work with the Enneagram, and it's an Enneagram introductory weekend. So people who don't have any information yet can join, and also for some that already know something, it's interesting because I just will give this flavor of the different energies in a way. That's how I like to say it. I had this wonderful talk with Andrew who made me aware that it is like music. It's a difference. If I have a drum, I just have only the drum. It's this or that sound, bum, bum, always distinct. Or if I have a violin, that would be the emotional aspect. So the drum is the physical body. I will look into these three bodies that we all have: the physical and the emotional and the mental body. And then we can start getting a flavor how we interact with them and how they influence us. So in this example with the drum, it's like, here's my body. That's clear, right? If I sit on this chair, you can't sit on the chair. And for some people, that's just how we perceive the world. And often we're not aware of that because that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And then with emotions, we're often not aware that I feel your emotions and you feel mine. And sometimes it might not even be so easy to discern, it's like, is this you or is this me? And the thoughts are
Especially
even,
right now in the
especially
world.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference to be aware, just to be aware, oh, right, maybe you are sad and I just feel it. And I'm actually fine, but I feel you. So, oh yeah, that's the sadness, but I can stay centered in myself.
Mm.
And then thoughts are even wilder because I can think Alaska, and that might feel a bit chilly. And then I can think Amazon, and it gets more colorful. There's a lot of power here, and you can get lost easily because what's real then?
Yeah.
Shoo.
Yeah, exactly. Take you in all different spectrums of life.
Yeah.
So people who come are, I guess, just interested in exploring and understanding themselves, right?
Yes. It's that's the main focus, to explore and understand yourself. And it also really greatly helps with understanding yourself in relationship to your partner, for example. There are certain trigger elements, like these different bodies, they move in different ways. So some people always move away. And now if you have a partner like that and you want to be close, you can easily find yourself
Running
and they
around after them.
exactly.
Do you have many couples come? Do people come as couples or mostly?
I don't know. Yeah, it's more people come alone, but couples come as well. And they often find it very rich.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess you use nature because of where you are. So you do a lot of your work outside, at the beach, or
No, I don't do this necessarily outside because it's really, there's, in a way, I like to say it's not that you have to learn the Enneagram because you can experience it. Like the beach is a perfect example. You have sand, solid, physical, you have water, liquid, emotional, and you often have the wind for the thoughts that comes and goes. But it's harder to focus, I find. So I like to use nature in processing things, but for this focused work, we usually even stay inside, even that sometimes it's a pity. And then we do a bit of movement and dancing outside sometimes.
So for someone who's never heard of Enneagram work, so you talked about the three bodies. And so is it the energy of the bodies that you use then, and the Enneagram almost as an overlay to help you structure, to understand the three bodies? Is that the best way to describe it? How would you describe it?
Oh, I just feel I should have brought a way to show you this symbol, because the Enneagram has this beautiful symbol. It's a bit mathematical in a way, because it has these 9 numbers, 1 to 9. And it has the circle for unity. Mm-hmm. And what I just referred to, the triangle of these 3 bodies. But then it also has the so-called hexad. And if you have never heard of it, it doesn't matter. I also have never heard of that weird shape, how movement goes. But it's really ancient. It goes back to ancient Egypt. And then it went through Pythagoras in Greece. And it's really a reflection of the rhythms of universe, maybe you could say. So we have a little speck in this. We're the smallest part in a way, but of course we use it for ourselves.
Beautiful. So people kind of almost discover where they are on the Enneagram chart, and it helps them identify maybe their own behaviors and traits and habits, and what might be like slightly deep-rooted and maybe even ancestral for them.
Often people use it really to identify themselves. That's not the original intention, let's say. It's really meant for reflection of what's beyond that. So it's not really a daily thing in this respect, even though it's super useful to have that in our day-to-day life. But I try to really give you this overall view. And then it will be more of a side effect that I recognize, oh my God, yeah, it's sometimes really a bit strong to read or to hear, oh my God, that's how I function,
Yeah.
And then
don't like to look at these things, do we? As much as confronting as they are, or how obvious to others as they are.
Yes. And the beauty is, we usually like some things about ourselves. And then in including what we don't like, it's always part of the package. It always has the light and the shadow. And this work also is an invitation from this triangle, this triadic view, to really, it's light and shadow. And there's more than that. I'm not limited or defined by the type I find there. It can just help me. It can help me become more spacious and maybe laugh about myself, be less identified with this. But that's how I am.
Right, I'm getting my flight. And I guess what's lovely is to do it in a group setting with others, so that you can observe, those who maybe are similar to you, those who are quite different, and in overall the similarity that we have, as you said, both contrast. So we're not obviously that different to each other.
Exactly. It shows us what's, where we're just human beings with our basic human being needs, and just to feel good. And then we can also look how we have different approaches in a certain situation. Like in my last course, I had this very funny moment. I like to play music, because through music, obviously, you listen to a sad song, and you get a bit mellow. You listen to a fun song and you get into that mood. So in a way, it's very similar to that. Some people bring the sad mood with them, or the mellow or the deep mood, and others come like, yeah, it's party time, no matter what they do. And you might know people like that.
Yeah. But even with our Soul Walk Challenge, we've been running that for the last month, and seeing how the different tasks, the variety of tasks, and how some are really drawn to the whistling and the singing and the dancing, and don't see themselves as deep thinkers. And then and yet they obviously are still, but they prefer one to the other. And then others, actually would rather not sing or dance, and are quite happy to sit and be in thought and and really look at life in a different way. And so to mix all that together, and it's similar, they're all going on a similar journey. They're observing each other and learning from each other as well. So
this would be it would be outside and a beautiful opportunity to reflect more, at least once you have a bit of this course is really intended to give you enough of the tools in your hands so you can actually use it, because you have to get a certain amount of experience and information before you can really start applying it. So you would be able to, that would be very rich to also see how people have different, let's call it, strategies to cope with situations.
Yeah.
Some jump in, some step back. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong here. It can just be so relaxing in a way to see, oh yeah, that's my pattern. I always step back, or I always jump in. Why not take a moment and think first, for example, or why not take a step before thinking?
It makes me feel like it's very concentrated, that it's like we're suddenly stepping into your observational box, that we're coming and being able to be in it, but then also have the lens from outside and to see it from another's perspective, not just the craziness that we get to when we're in our own, set ways. So be able to do that safely and lightheartedly, but also with some depth in that experience. Sounds wonderful.
Absolutely. I love how you said that. It's a bit like stepping outside and looking at myself and not being so identified that I'm just caught in myself. Aren't we all at times caught in ourselves?
And I think for many, we've spent so much time on our own or just with our loved ones over the last 2 years that we've had less of an opportunity to do that. And so even the sitting and reflecting on your own is quite different to doing that, as you said, with the Enneagram and the structure and yourself as leading that and others' observations on you as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I will include also self-reflection in pairs, self-inquiry. That's part of that, where it's called looping question. And it's such a powerful, simple tool when you keep repeating the same question from a still place, in loving connection. It opens up a way into seeing yourself beyond what you can do when you just sit down and think, or what we can do when we're alone with ourselves.
Okay, so just it's on the 5th and 6th of March, so Saturday and Sunday.
Yes,
do they stay with you, or do they need to find accommodation locally if they are traveling to you?
Yes, it's designed at the moment for people who are in the area. Okay. So I'm afraid I can't offer accommodation right there.
Bring a tent and just pitch it up at the beach. You'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, there is some backyard there, so you can camp in the bush. That's fine too.
But you also said you might be doing something online later, so if people are interested as listening to us, then you'll be offering, another kind of, I guess, a weekend or retreat later on in the year.
Yes, I was planning to start maybe late March, and then I would offer it weekly, because I feel that screen time is a different thing than being in space. I really can't see myself spending a whole weekend with this screen.
Not when we have an option now.
No, not when we have an option. So I would feel like offering it once a week for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Covering the same. Content.
Okay. And obviously, if people do want to do one-on-one work with you, or couples work with you, or even family work with you, then that's also the work that you do. So you're available for that too.
Absolutely. And I use it, secretly. Obviously, I have this knowledge and this experience from the Enneagram, and it can be very helpful. Some children, we want to be nice, and then we speak to them, but what they need is our arm that holds them and stops them from doing that instead of explaining. That's also what we learn there. For others, that feels too invasive if someone stops them physically. These are all these beautiful nuances.
Well, thank you, Maya. I think it gives a flavour for people. And we've got the details on the Soul Hub website as well, so that they can go and have a read and obviously contact you directly from there, and then pack their bags and off they come.
And come. Beautiful. Or if they're in the area. Thank you, Carmen.
Okay, no problem. Yes. Lovely to discover a little bit more. I look forward to being with you at some point as soon as we can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, there's Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you, and see you. Nice
Bye.
to see you, Andrew. Bye.
Bye.